And it looks like we're live. What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard Sports Media, coming at you a little bit late tonight in terms of we didn't start on schedule, but that's all right. We try to get prepared, we try to get ready. We want to make sure we have a great experience tonight on the show. And Mayhem, it's always good to have you on here. I love you, buddy. I appreciate you. How are you tonight?
I'm doing really well. I'm very excited for this live stream. I'm very excited. We got a jam-packed show. We're going to be talking about a little bit about Tennessee. We're going to be talking a little bit about Auburn. We're going to be doing some pick'ems tonight. So I'm very excited and we also got a new segment called What Ifs. So I'm very excited for them as well. So without further ado, I'm ready to jump with my 2 feet into the water and let's go swimming, baby.
Let's swim indeed, man. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm excited for it. Let's go ahead. I want to break down. So as you mentioned, we have the what if segment. We're going to do that last because we got a lot of what ifs to cover tonight. First thing I want to look at is this Oklahoma Tennessee game. College game day is going to be there. Going to Norman, Oklahoma, the Sooners get their SEC debut. And Mayhem, we've waited for this moment for quite some time. I know there's people that complained about the conference realignment and everything, but I think the closer we get and the more in depth we get with these games throughout the landscape of the season, I just look at it and I say, this is what we live for as college football fans. And I look at this game, Oklahoma and Tennessee, a top 15 matchup. I look at it and I say, this is part of what we live for as college football fans. When you look at this Oklahoma game with Tennessee, Tennessee comes in a 7-point favorite, so one score, no big deal. They also have a 71% chance to win the game. Nico Iamaleava versus Jackson Arnold. Then you have Dylan Sampson in the run game. Don't really have much run game in Oklahoma other than Jackson Arnold, very mobile, can kill you with his legs. And then you got in the lead receiving category Dante Thornton for Tennessee and Deion Burks. I look at these two teams. I say Oklahoma, they struggled for a little bit with Tulane, but then they turned it on the other night and they just took off. They struggled in that Houston game. They blew out Temple. You shake off the Houston victory, which was only 16-12, but then you look at Tennessee, and not only have they been very explosive offensively against Chattanooga, NC State, and Kent State. They pitched a shutout against Kent. They held NC State to 10 points and won by 41 with 51 points on the board in Charlotte. And then they only gave up a field goal to Chattanooga. Is it me or and here's our first talking point of this game. Is it me or is the Tennessee defense back? I know we talked a little bit about that last week, but just to kind of revisit that conversation, uh, is it getting good in Knoxville right now?
Yeah, I pretty much already made my statement about Tennessee's defense. I'm not ready to put them in the elite category. They can be good, they can be great, but whenever they can be really good, they can be really great. But whenever we're talking about elite, I'm not ready to put them in the categories with the Georgias, Alabamas, Ohio States, Michigans, Clemsons of the world. So with that being said, as far as Tennessee's defense, I think they're going to have a really explosive game this coming Saturday because Tennessee has a really good offense and Oklahoma has a really good defense. I think that's the matchup we're going to be looking for. But it is a total mismatch. Tennessee's defense is going to be all over Oklahoma's offense. Oklahoma's offense is just not that good this year.
No, I would agree with you. And again, this is going to be a defining matchup for the Sooner offense. but also I would say the Vols, I should say, defense. Let's just kind of dive into this game. The spread has the Vols at -7. Um, I would say that at the same time, I say what I said about the Oklahoma defense. You still got to love it in ways. I mean, Brent Venables is a defensive mastermind. He's got good players out there. They do play with great physicality and speed, but at the same time, you got to love their defense. But you love the Vols offense and Nico a little bit more? The Sooners lead the series all time 3-1. The big question I have, and I want your answer: can the Oklahoma Sooner crowd, we know it can be rowdy, but can it bring that SEC energy type of vibe this weekend in Norman, do you think? Can they bring that SEC Southeastern energy? We got to see that. And that's going to be a big factor in helping the Sooners pull this upset.
Yes, I am 100% bought in that Oklahoma, their fans are going to be rowdy. They're going to bring the energy. They're going to have the home field advantage that they want in this game. I want to give you a fun fact. You said Tennessee is a touchdown favorite at Oklahoma on the road in week 4.
Mhm.
Did you know that this is the first time that the Sooners are a touchdown home underdog since November 21st, 1998, and that was versus Texas Tech? A ranked Oklahoma team hasn't been a home dog of more than 4 points since at least 1978. And whenever we look at this game, Ballard, we know why Tennessee is a touchdown favorite in this game. Tennessee's offense is elite.
Of
Okay?
course.
Tennessee's offense is elite. Oklahoma's defense is good, but I don't think Oklahoma's defense is proven, right? Not so far in this season. Tennessee's offense, you know, is going to be able to put up points. Can Oklahoma's offense match Tennessee blow for blow? Because if Oklahoma wants to win this game, it's either got to be a very defensive game, and Oklahoma's defense has got to prove that their defense is the real deal, or this is going to be a shootout, and Oklahoma's offense just is not good enough to be in a shootout with Tennessee. So that is why I believe that Tennessee is a touchdown favorite, because a lot of people don't have confidence in Oklahoma's offense, and Oklahoma's defense just has not been tested so far in this year.
No, I fully agree with you. But if you had to give them some sort of advantage, you get the game at home. You also get it at night. This is a 7:30 kickoff, 6:30 Central Time this Saturday night. But you got to hope, if anything given to the Sooners on Saturday is going to help them win this game, I got to say it's the fans, it's the home crowd. And I said in the offseason, I said it's either this game or going next week to Jordan Hare Stadium with Auburn. And we've seen Auburn this year. We'll talk about them a little bit later on. Uh, because we got to talk about their quarterback later. But I look at this. I look at Oklahoma and I say they got Tennessee, and then I got to go to Jordan Hare. Which of
Yeah.
those two games, man, like, which is the real welcome to the SEC moment? Because if you think about it, Tennessee, really, really good, probably going to the playoffs this year, 10-2, 11-1 if they can pull it off. Tennessee's going to be a tough task for the Sooners. But also, what about, do you wait until they get that taste of a road environment in the SEC? Or does Tennessee look at this game and say, maybe Oklahoma can match that energy? Can they match up to it? I want to see that for the Oklahoma Sooner faithful. Can they bring that SEC energy into it? And I know I kind of already mentioned that, but man, This is going to be a fantastic showdown on Saturday night. I can't wait to watch it. I am thinking that I reschedule because I didn't even think this game was on until I looked at it a couple days ago because I had already scheduled that I would go live for the um, Oregon State Purdue game. I think I'm going to take that back. I might not. I'll definitely watch multiple games on Saturday night for sure. But I will tell you this: this is the game of the week. College Game Day is going to be there. I'm sure SEC Nation going to be there too. Can the Oklahoma crowd bring that SEC energy? They need to. I got to hear from you, Mayhem. Can they bring it?
So you asked me, yes, they can bring it. And you asked me, is this going to be like the welcome to the SEC for Oklahoma? Yes. Yes, this is going to be the very first welcome to the SEC because you are facing a very good Tennessee Vols team. And next week, you go on the road to Jordan Hare. I know weird things happen at Jordan Hare, but Auburn is just, I mean, unless what we're going to talk about later on in the show, unless this quarterback change is the spark for Auburn's offense, Auburn's just not going to be very good this year. So, yes, this is a welcome to the SEC for the for Oklahoma. This is going to be a welcome to the SEC for Oklahoma. It's going to be right in their own backyard. We're going to get a really good taste of SEC football and if Oklahoma can hang with the boys in the SEC.
And in
Let's
your opinion, I got to hear from you. And in my opinion, I I think it's going to take some time to get used to, but eventually, I think Oklahoma can hang with the big boys in the SEC. I'm just not ready to say that that's right now. What do you say?
Yeah, I think they can. Oklahoma, Brent Venables, they can recruit at a very high level. Oklahoma is a blue blood in college football. Oklahoma is a national brand. SEC would not bring a brand in that isn't widely talked about, widely known, historically known. Yeah, they're going to be ready to play some big boy football in the SEC. We've got
Okay.
let's shout out in the chat. We got P Digits in the chat. We got TriStar in the chat, and Jackson Johnson. Welcome every single person that is tuning in right now. Y'all chatted up in the chat. P Digits ask, is Tennessee the best team in the SEC right now? I'm not ready to
I'm
say
not.
that.
Yeah, I'm not ready to say. I'm not even ready to say it's Georgia or Texas. Now, Texas taking that top spot, that kind of shows it. I would say this that there's not a clear cut. We haven't seen much SEC play. We haven't seen much play. The season's just getting started, baby. Let's go. I'm ready to see more from these teams before I start saying who's the best team in the SEC right now. We got to see it. Hence, you have Georgia, Alabama next week. What if Alabama wins that game? You got Tennessee, Oklahoma this week. What if some upsets happen early? Are they going to be defined by those victories? I say you have to be.
For
You
sure.
have to be.
Yeah. And Tennessee, I'm not ready to say they're the best team in the SEC right now. If I had to pick the best right now, I hate to say this, but right now it's looking like Texas. But
Yeah.
I also can also say Texas had a really good win over Michigan. And Georgia had a really good win over Clemson, which I think Clemson is going to be a great team. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them, thinking that Clemson is just going to go 9-3, 8-4 again because they don't use the transfer portal. Nah. I think Clemson is going to be very good. They're going to probably be in the ACC title game versus Miami, and we're going to see who wins that game. That's a long ways away from now. But Clemson has a coach that has been in situations like that before. He's been doubted before, and he's going to win. Just like he said last year, if Tennessee is a lottery ticket, I mean, if Clemson is a lottery ticket, you need to go ahead and bet on that for Clemson. I think Clemson is going to be the real deal this year. So, with that being said, Georgia had a really good win over them. Alabama, as far as Alabama goes, hasn't really been tested a whole lot. I mean, I guess they haven't really played uh, elite competition yet up until now. A lot of teams has not played really good competition up until now. Even though Ohio State hasn't, and a couple of other teams just hasn't really had huge impactful games, right? I mean, Miami's biggest win is over a Florida team that absolutely is dog water, right? They don't even know who their quarterback is. So, and they have a terrible defense. So, Miami hadn't even been tested yet, but we are projecting them to be some elite team. You know what I mean? We got Max Todd in the chat, and we got Zach Sports Cards and Collectibles. Max Todd says Tennessee fans are so delusional, hasn't been relevant in 25 years. Saying on the other sites a 24 to 28 point victory if Oklahoma is lucky. Tennessee is in for
Whoa.
a rude awakening. What's your thoughts on that?
Hold on. Look, to say that they haven't been relevant in 25 years, I don't know. Were they pretty relevant in 2022? I mean, they were a game or two away from being in the SEC title game. Were they not? And Hendon Hooker, if he doesn't get injured, I'm sure is in the Heisman conversation. Well, he was in the Heisman conversation, but he's probably a finalist if he doesn't get injured and Joe Milton has to come in. They won the Orange Bowl over Clemson. So that was a relevant year, and it was only what 2 years ago. So to say that they haven't been relevant in 25 years, that is crazy talk. I'm not going to put Max Todd under the bus or anything. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. I'm not going to be mean. He's my guy. I love that he always shows up. Appreciate you, Max Todd. But I got to disagree with you on that one.
I mean, they've only been relevant 2 years out of the last 25. I'll say that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then saying other size 20, I don't think this is going to be a 24 to 28 point victory. No way. Oklahoma's defense is better than that. I'm
There's no
going.
way. I was going to say there's no way that Oklahoma, if they lose this game, at the very least, like 10-point margin of victory is at max. Maybe if Tennessee's lucky to maybe run the score up with a touchdown or a field goal.
Yeah, Tennessee did run up the score versus Kent State last week. I actually almost predicted that game right on the head. I said 73 to nothing. It was 71 to nothing.
Wow. Whoa, you are a safety off, my friend.
Yeah, I was really close predicting that. I knew so all right, so we got some more comments in the chat. Let's read. TriStar says he's the Tennessee representative here. He's saying that they win 31 to 14. Now, I do agree that could be the score, but Oklahoma's defense is good. They're solid. They're a solid team. I am nervous about Oklahoma. That is a really good score. I like that score, TriStar.
Yeah.
I really, really do. I could see it being 30, like a 34-20. I could see Oklahoma scoring some garbage touchdowns to end the game.
I
Next
would
up,
go I would go with the score prediction right now. I would take Tennessee. I'm gonna take them a little closer than you might expect. I'm gonna say 11 points, 35-24.
that's good. So Max Todd says 2022. Are you listening what you're saying? 25 years. A year does not make you relevant. And I mean, I guess I could agree with you. 1 year doesn't make you relevant, but that 1 year did allow Tennessee to get some high profile recruits, and they're doing
Yep.
better in recruit. They're doing better in recruiting now. They're doing better in the transfer portal. They're doing better just all the way around in their program. Josh Heupel is a very good coach, and going into this Oklahoma game, it's crazy that we didn't mention this, but Josh Heupel was a quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners. That
Yeah,
is
he's playing his alma mater. I didn't even think about that, Mayhem. That's interesting. So, like, it's almost like a welcome homecoming for Josh Heupel. I mean, the fans got to love him, even though he's on the sidelines of a team that they're going to have to face this weekend. But you got to think there can't be nothing but love and respect for Heupel on Saturday. If he comes out and they start booing him because he's coaching in orange and white or something like that, that'd be crazy. But
yeah.
getting into this game, I don't know if I'm ready to pick a score prediction completely. I think it'd be really close, and I think Tennessee gets it done. But at the same time, Mayhem, don't be surprised if Oklahoma pulls an upset.
Well, we got in the chat. Oh, Max Todd is pulling the upset. Oklahoma 38, Vols 24.
Mm.
Can Oklahoma's offense get it together? Now, I do got a question, Max Todd. That Anderson guy, that wide receiver, Anderson, is he going to be playing? Because I don't know if he played this past weekend, but I know he was questionable for the game. That's going to be a very, because that's one of the best wide receivers they got. Without him, it's going to be very tough to score on Tennessee. I say Tennessee's not proven on defense yet because they haven't faced elite offenses, but if they can get that Anderson kid back at wide receiver, maybe Oklahoma scores more points than just like TriStar said, 14. But we also got other people in the chat. God's Guns and Ammo, welcome. He says he's going to say 38-21, and he's going with Tennessee.
Mhm.
And then
He said, "Bank it."
Nate DeGreat says 34-23. What's up, Nate DeGreat? Glad to see you in
Up,
here.
Nate.
And then
Well,
Max
he's
Todd.
already given out. Oh, go ahead with Max Todd real quick. Then we'll get to Nate.
Yeah, Max Todd says don't judge Oklahoma by who Tennessee has played. That's what you're doing. And yeah, I mean, I've said this last week and I'll say it this week. Tennessee really hasn't played elite competition. Their best win is over NC State, and NC State's offense is dog water. NC State's whole entire team is hot dog water. So I agree with you. Don't judge Oklahoma by who's Tennessee has played because I mean they haven't really played much competition. Oklahoma has not played much competition either, and they have struggled, especially like with a 0-2 Houston team. They struggled mightily with them, and their offense just doesn't look that good to me whenever I look at Oklahoma. But you know, I would love. I'm gonna be honest. I would love Oklahoma to win over Tennessee. That would be hilarious. I don't have a dog in the fight. And then Dominic Bolett, he says, as a UVA fan, go Vols. So a lot of people are with the Vols. Max Todd, he's with Oklahoma. So
And again, like, there's not. I mean,
Cody Hankins is also saying Oklahoma will win 38-21. So you got Cody Hankins and you got Max Todd in the conversation with them. And then Max Todd said NC State got lucky against Louisiana Tech. Yeah, exactly. You're right. And you can go back to last week's video. I said I'm not ready to say that Tennessee's defense is elite because they haven't been tested. Wait until they play Bama. Wait until they play Georgia. Wait until they play Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma to me don't really have a great offense, but we got to wait until they play these games, these road environments, these type of atmospheres, right? But yeah, going back to talking about Tennessee's Josh Heupel, this is going to be a homecoming for him, and he was like a coordinator at Oklahoma, and during the whole entire process with hiring people, I guess Josh Heupel felt like he got done dirty because they didn't promote him to head coach and stuff like that. He went to Tennessee, became the head coach. And, I still think there's all love in Oklahoma with Josh Heupel and company. I think there's no tension between the two, but
Right.
I do think Josh Heupel really wants to win this game bad, just to make a statement. Obviously, you want to win because it's an SEC matchup. You want to get to the SEC championship. You want to play for the playoffs. You want to get a good seed in the playoffs. Hopefully, you can get a bye week or whatever. So, of course, you want to win this game, but it's really important for Josh Heupel also on a personal level because Oklahoma kind of gypped him out of having that head coaching job.
For sure. That being said, let's kind of wrap this one up here. Any score prediction? I mean, like this is going to be a good matchup. I'm glad game day is going to be there. Uh, the spread again, the Vols -7, so they love Oklahoma to give it a game. In Norman, obviously, it's going to be a big crowd. I could see an upset, but I really like Tennessee here. I think Oklahoma's not going to have enough firepower. I'm gonna say again in the 30s, and again, if we did score predictions, I get it, but I'm gonna reiterate that. And my final words on this matchup: Tennessee wins 34-30.
Wow. Okay.
That
So
close.
I told you off air that I wasn't going to give a score prediction because I want people to tune in for the Mayhem Matthews podcast tomorrow at 10:30. But I am going to go ahead and give a prediction because everybody else is giving a prediction, so I might as well give me put my 2 cents in. I think Tennessee wins this game. I like the 34, so I'm gonna go with 34, but I'm not confident in Oklahoma's offense. They've got to prove it on the field for me to be a believer. I'm going to go 34-20.
I like it, and I think that's respectable too. I think with the crowd and everything, man, like I think it's gonna help Oklahoma a little bit, but I think Tennessee just being the better team is gonna pull it off in the end.
Yeah, Godfather of the SEC, Oklahoma State.
Oh, look, he's an Alabama fan. I love Waylon to death. I love you, brother. I appreciate you always showing up. I'll drink. I'll drink a whole 6 pack of beers if this happens, man. I don't look. I don't know. 45-10. 45-10. I mean, let me ask you this: could Tennessee win that big in this game?
Yes, Tennessee could win that
Really?
big. Yes, Tennessee could win
You
that big.
think so?
They could. I mean, anything is possible. But he said he's serious.
He says he's serious. I am serious. Serious blah. Never thought of
Jackson
it. Anyway,
Johnson, he said Tennessee will win a tight one against Oklahoma. It'll be 35-31. So pretty much
I like it.
almost the exact pick that you had, almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of different vibes in the chat, and I appreciate every single person that's in the chat. I really do. I don't. It seems like I don't say it enough, so I want to say it. Y'all are what drives the conversations here on the channel. I know we got a couple of topics at hand, but y'all are the ones that really drive the show and keep us going. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, it is completely free, man. It's completely free. It just makes me feel good. Okay, that's all it does, and it makes Ballard feel good too. So our college football teams don't even get to play this week. They're on a bye week, so
Yeah,
just
we
help us.
deserve some.
Yeah,
We deserve some help.
yeah,
Okay.
just hit the like button and help
At
us
the
out.
listen. At the end of this show, we can say, "Man, that was a great show, Mayhem." Yeah, it was, Ballard. Hope we do it. I had some help.
Yeah, yeah,
Ain't
but
like I could do this show all by myself. I don't know.
for sure. But let's
uh,
let's go ahead and we enough of the Tennessee Oklahoma. I know that's the big matchup, but we started out with the banger of a conversation, but we want to go into our next topic. You want to lead us into the next topic, Ballard?
yes. So again, we're going to do what ifs for college football 2024. But one thing I want to talk about, interesting, sticking to the SEC here tonight, Hank Brown, this phenom of a quarterback, a true freshman, 6'4", 208, from Nashville, Tennessee, number 15 for the Auburn Tigers. 331 yards so far in only a couple games. He's already got 6 touchdowns. He's got a QBR of 77.9. Can he help the offense for Auburn? And I think honestly he can. I know it's been Peyton Thorne's bus to ride for the last season or two. He looked okay at times and had an interesting game against Georgia and Alabama last year, the rivals and stuff like that. But I look at this year and I look at Hank Brown and what I love specifically, notes and everything aside, I have watched this guy play for Auburn a little bit, and he helped get the start and beat New Mexico the other day in the victory. He plays with great poise, great toughness, and grit. He's very calm in the pocket. He's just calm, Mayhem. He doesn't let the pressure get to him. He looked like a veteran out there. Now, I'm not going to say he's on the level of a Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence from Clemson. I don't want to say he's got the talent or tools of someone maybe like Bryce Young. I don't think he's a Carson Beck. I don't think he's any of that. But I think he's good enough for Auburn to find that offensive chemistry out there. They got guys out there on their roster like Keandre Lambert Smith, who's their lead receiver. They got Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson, 2 5-star recruits who are doing fantastic. In fact, Perry Thompson from Thompson High School here in Alabama, by the way, 38 yards he's averaging a catch. As long as receiving play is 70 yards, he's already got 114 through the air as a receiver, and he's got a touchdown. So it's just dude, Rivaldo Fairweather at tight end, Malcolm Simmons, they have the weapons. They need the leadership at quarterback. And Hank Brown, I think personally, can help this offense. Any thoughts on all this?
Yeah, my first thought is they did play New Mexico Lobos, which is like 0-3 on the season. Just a really trash can team. I mean, no disrespect to the New Mexico Lobos, but they're just not that good. Auburn is supposed to beat a team 45-19 and have really good stats. This is New Mexico that we're talking about. Hank Brown looked very good. Like you said, 17-25, 235 pounds, 235 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 0 interceptions, look really, really good. And he has playmakers, just like you just said. Perry Thompson, Camden Brown. We got Keon-
Don't forget guys like Sam Jackson, Malcolm Simmons. They got guys around
yeah,
there, and I
and you
also want
also
to point out,
got Keandre Smith as well. He led in
yeah,
receiving yards with 72 this past weekend. But I wanted to finish what I was going to say and just say that it can't get much worse than Peyton Thorne. Peyton Thorne.
ah,
Look. no disrespect. I promise, no disrespect to Peyton Thorne, but he is not a quarterback. I can be just as good at quarterback as Peyton Thorne. I mean, Peyton Thorne's just every rose has its thorn. Every Peyton has his thorn. Okay, and he's just not that good. He's not good at
No,
all.
he's not. I would fully be one of the first to say he's not that good. I don't know what it is. Did he just have the right coaches? Because he seemed to do okay. Like, really, when he had his 2 years or whatever at Michigan State, he was doing okay. But then he gets to Auburn, and it's like he shows his true form and true colors. And I'm not, look, it kills me to go online on the internet, whether Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, and say, this is a terrible college athlete. I hate to say that stuff. I really do. But the reality is there are good players, there are elite players. Then at the bottom there are bad players. Peyton Thorne, bad player. He's just not a quarterback, man.
Well, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I would agree with you that dogging college athletes like that maybe isn't really what you want to do online. But there's also another reality here, Ballard. They have NIL. They're getting paid. These are paid athletes to entertain us.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if they're not entertaining, we don't want to see them on our screen. So that is another reality that you're just gonna have to deal with. It's one of them realities where if you're getting paid to do something, like at my job, if I don't perform well at my job, I'm only there's college athletes that are my age. I'm only 25 years old. There are college athletes right now that are playing football that are getting NIL deals out the door, and they're my age. So that's just like me going to work and I don't do a good job. I'm going to get told, "Hey, you're not doing a good job." Right? There are athletes
Yeah.
that are your age, Ballard, 20 years old. There's athletes your age, and if you go to work, you don't do a good job, your manager is going to let you know about it, right?
Yeah.
And
I've been
and
there.
and if the customer is not satisfied with you, Ballard, then the customer is also going to talk bad about you. So in the world that we live in, the reality is they're getting paid by NIL. They're getting paid to entertain us and play college football at a very high level. College football is $1 billion company. So yeah, Peyton Thorne is trash. I mean,
You're
if you
not
don't,
wrong. I guess I have a soft side just to not dog on college athletics, and it's just. But you're not wrong. I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. I'll admit to that. I just, at the same time, like I could never bring myself to say publicly, like I don't know. Here's the thing with me. I gotta be on that day where I just really don't care. But I also have days like today where I do care, and I'm just not gonna say it. You know what I'm saying?
for sure. Max Todd says Brown has not played against a good team yet. New Mexico is very bad. I agree with you. Let's
Yep.
wait and judge him after Arkansas and Oklahoma. And yes,
Yes.
that is the quarterback's name, Hank Brown. They
Yeah.
made a quarterback switch from Peyton Thorne to Hank Brown, and after the game, it seemed pretty clear to me that they are going to use Brown for the rest of the season. It was made very clear to me about that. So,
But he
but
makes a
yeah,
good point. He has
but
not played against a good team.
yeah, that I mean
But
that's literally what I just said. I literally just said that like maybe 5 minutes ago that I mean, New Mexico is terrible. It's a terrible team, and we need to see more. Like let's go ahead and talk about it. Arkansas has to play Auburn this weekend, right?
right, right.
Let's talk about what do you think that Brown could do in this game? I mean, you've seen him play a really terrible New Mexico team. We give bold takes around here on the Touchdowns live show. If you've ever watched this show, we give a lot of bold takes. That's pretty much how this live stream show was created. It was created on bold takes. That's what we normally do. So, would you have a bold take that Brown is going to play very good versus Arkansas and secure a win for the Auburn Tigers?
I would definitely I would take that to the bank and cash it. I mean, and that's not even well, it's Arkansas. That like Arkansas can give teams like Auburn a game. Think about it, man. They have come close to beating teams like that in years past. So it's not a pushover, sleepover, slumber party of a game. It's they got to give it everything they got. Thank goodness this is at home. They did announce game times yesterday or today. This will be a 2:30 Central kickoff game on ESPN. Really excited to see how it looks. But yeah, look, if Hank Brown comes out slinging, man, he's going to earn the respect at Jordan Hare Stadium on Saturday for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, Max Todd. Thank you, buddy.
So Hank Brown is a 3-star out of high school. He's 6'4", 208 pounds. He's out of Nashville, Tennessee. A lot of Tennessee talk today, by the way, but he is a freshman. So, yeah, I think Auburn is just one quarterback away from being a great team. Not good, not very good, not really good, but a great team. I think they have the weapons at wide receiver. I think they have a pretty solid offensive line. They got a really good offense. I just think they're
They
one
really
quarterback
do.
away. And as far as defense goes, I think they have a decent defense. I mean,
They've always had. I mean, they've always had a solid 6 out of 10 at minimum type of defense. And, when you look at that, and then you mentioned they're like a quarterback away. Like, dude, they got Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson, two really talented guys at wide receiver. I believe they still got that Rivaldo Fairweather at tight end that, the announcers, if you ever listen to the Auburn radio network, they just love Fairweather, and he has done good service for them on offense. The weapons are there. They just need that leadership. And like I said, Peyton Thorne ain't it, bro. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to him after he left Michigan State. But Hank Brown, like I said, he could be the hero for these Tigers in the next few weeks.
yeah. So, you want to move on to the next segment?
Yeah, so we did Oklahoma, Tennessee. We talked about Hank Brown. Looking tonight, what you all came here for, hopefully, our 2024 what ifs in college football. And Mayhem, we'll go ahead and throw yours up.
Hold on.
But talk about this one for a second. Go ahead before you get into it.
Yeah, before we get into it, if you're watching, I want y'all in the comment section to write your what ifs in the comment section, and after we're done with ours, then we'll read yours and we'll talk about them. So put your what ifs in the comment section. What ifs you can talk about, like what if you can just do whatever you want to as far as the what ifs. Just make it college football related and make it this year related, okay? So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get into my first what if of the night. What if Marcel Reed continues to be the starter after Wegman returns from injury? And I'll go ahead and get into it real quick. Marcel Reed versus Florida was 11 of 17, 178 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So, and he also had 13 carries rushing for 83 yards, and he had a touchdown on the ground as well. And his longest run was a 31-yard run. So, with that being said, really good stats. And
Yeah.
the question that I had yesterday whenever I was reacting to this particular game was, is Florida's defense just that bad, or is Marcel Reed him? Is he that guy? And I want you to answer that for me.
Yeah, I think I mean he shined in that Florida game. He looked really, really good. Throwing the ball, running around. Nothing there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that Connor Wegman has done wrong for the A&M Aggies since he took over this season, what he did last year playing a little bit. He's just hurt. It's next man up. But you make a good point. What if Marcel Reed, if it works and they got that chemistry going with their offense in Aggie land, and Connor Wegman is back from injury? Do you make it's a really risky reward situation because you love what you got in Reed, but then you risk losing this 5-star recruit. What if he hits the portal? But you got the guy in Reed, right? But you could be good either way. So you throw Wegman out there. But what if it's not as explosive or good as it is with Marcel Reed? So there's really a lot of questions, and you got to be careful if you're Mike Elko after Connor Wegman returns, what you do with your quarterback situation.
For sure. I mean, we talk about Connor Wegman. In the Notre Dame loss, he was 12 of 30 for 100 yards, literally 100 on the dot, 100 yards, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. A awful game for him versus Notre Dame. You had them at home. And you also took a sack as well. Very awful game for him in that game. And then they played a high school team, won 52-10. He was 11 of 14 for 125 yards, 2 touchdowns. They didn't really utilize him that much in that game. And, rightfully so. He had 2 touchdowns, 0 INTs, and he also took another sack. So this guy, to me, is significantly better. And I know we've only seen one game out of him, and it was versus Florida. You got to respect it is SEC competition. You had to travel to the swamp to play this game. You got to have a little bit of respect. Or if you're like me and a Georgia fan, then you have no respect for the Florida Gators. But I'm trying to be professional here. So got to give some respect to the Gators and what Billy Napier has or has not created there down in Gainesville. So, but I mean, I will say this. The question is, what if Marcel Reed continues to be the starter after Wegman returns from injury? I do think that Texas A&M will be better offensively because you can use Marcel's legs in, to make defenses. You can hurt the defenses by making Marcel Reed run the ball, throw the ball. He's all around quarterback, can run, can make you miss with his legs, can make you, can throw the deep ball. I really like Marcel Reed, right? Marcel Reed did so good in that game that, well, Mike Elko updated everybody on Connor Wegman. Connor Wegman, and this is a quote from Mike Elko. The quote is, Connor is going to be listed as day to day and week to week. We'll continue to manage the quarterback room in the same manner that we have and play the guy we feel gives us the best chance to win. So then whenever he was asked if a competition between Reed and Wegman would open up whenever Connor was healthy, well, Mike Elko gave this answer. Oh, I'm not going to answer that, right? So obviously Marcel Reed has done a enough job versus Florida to raise the question, is there a quarterback competition brewing in A&M? And, as Mike Elko said, I'm not going to answer that. that leads me to believe, yes, there is definite quarterback competition there in Texas A&M. I want your thoughts.
Yeah. Um, I mean, look, there is definitely there's quarterback competition all over this early in the season, right? I mean, you look at like hey, we'll talk a little bit about Florida State tonight. I can't believe we're going to do it, but when you look at Texas A&M, now ranked number 25, when you look at the talent that they have, and you go back to that Florida game where they won by 13 points, 11 of 17, 178 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Marcel Reed. The only thing you could say about this game is what if Connor Wegman was 100%? Would it have been a better performance? And that's that question that we just look at and we say, well, we don't know, right? I mean, is that fair to say? We don't know.
Yeah.
But he did shine to the point where, again, it's a risk and reward. If Connor Wegman toughens up a little bit and down the stretch, he's like, all right, coach, put me in, Coach Elko. I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's get back at it. And then Mike Elko's like, yeah, buddy, here's the thing. Marcel's doing us a really good favor by putting up all these points and just being very explosive with his legs and everything he's doing. We love you, buddy, but yeah, out the door. I don't know, man, because there's really like if Connor Wegman gets back, you're throwing away a potential premier guy. You really are, because he's really talented. He's really, really good.
Yeah, I do
But
think.
if it's already working with Marcel Reed, why would you throw that away? That's all I have to say on it.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and give a bold take. I think Marcel Reed is going to be your starting quarterback for the rest of the year. I think Marcel
Okay.
Reed gives you the best chance to win football games if you're Texas A&M. He can make you miss with his legs. He's a runner, and he's a great passer of the ball. He can throw the deep ball. He can just do it. He's an all around quarterback, and I really like what I've seen from Marcel Reed. Yes, Florida's defense is trash, but I'm not ready to say that they're that trash that it made Marcel Reed look like an amazing quarterback, in his very first start. So I think Marcel Reed will continue to be the quarterback, and Connor Wegman had unfortunate events in getting hurt, and we don't want that, but he's just going to have to be a solid backup because Marcel Reed is the man. You want to go to your
He
first?
absolutely is.
You want to go to your first? What if?
Yeah, and I know you're gonna love this conversation. Let's go. Let's go. First, what if for Ballard Sports Media tonight? Here we go. What if FSU loses to Cal? Rest in peace to White Tonto.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start on this. If
Go for it.
FSU if FSU loses to Cal and goes 0-4 to
Yeah.
start the season, it's already bad enough 0-3. 0-4, you got to have a serious talk. About firing the head coach? You really do. I never thought he was that great of a coach, anyways. And people act like the Florida State fans act like they didn't want him fired just a couple of years ago. They had one 10-win season and then one magic Cinderella season where they went undefeated, and then they got blown out by Georgia in the bowl game, in a New Year's Six bowl game, by the way. They said that it don't count, but it was a New Year's Six bowl. It definitely counted, but we're not going to talk about that. That's a different conversation for a different day. But yeah, what if FSU loses to Cal? You have to really consider firing the head coach You really do. You really gotta make some calls, get in a meeting, and you really got to talk about the future of Florida State because at this point, what are you doing?
I mean, this whole roller coaster that is Florida State this year has had me and everyone else laughing. But they got to win some games. They got to at least, at this point, you could throw the towel in on making the playoffs, making the ACC title. You're basically playing for six. You're playing for 6 wins in a bowl game somewhere, right? If you think about it, if they fail to do that, man, I don't know if it's after this year, but I'll tell you what, the future's really not looking up for Mike Norvell. His name
Yeah,
slipped my mind.
Jackson Johnson in the chat. He said, "If FSU loses to Cal, we will not hear about the 4-0 start for Cal." Wow, didn't even
Oh
realize. See,
yeah,
didn't even
yeah.
realize that. Didn't
That's
even.
true though. That is so true. And he says it feels like 2024 FSU is similar to 2007 Notre Dame. And 2007 was a weird year, much like this season's already weird for us. But yeah, I mean, a lot of hype, but can't do anything on the field. It's like, and eventually people are throwing in the towel, but also they're gonna do a couple things right. But yeah, no, he makes a really good point. Of course, people are gonna point and laugh at Florida State, and rightfully so. But Cal, man, 4-0. What else do they have to do to get in those rankings to get out there and say we're part of the big leagues now? What do
Yeah,
they have to do?
they're in the ACC. They would potentially be. That would be an ACC win for them. They would potentially be a dark horse in the ACC with a win over Florida State for sure. And I do think, I do think we will hear about Cal's 4-0 start because, you know, especially from Danny Cannell, because, Danny Cannell loves talking about the ACC and how it's so great or whatever that he says on the Twitter machine. But yeah, I think we'll definitely have some conversations about Cal being 4-0. But yes, you are right, Jackson. We will hear more about Florida State going 0-4 to start the season. And just I'm gonna just be real with you. Florida State is just probably a bigger brand of football than Cal, and that's why you would hear more about Florida State than you would Cal because it's more of a national brand and people like to point and laugh and people like to make fun of Florida State going 0-4. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
For sure, man. Up next, your number two. What if? What if Clemson wins big against NC State, who got blown out by Tennessee, of course? But
So I put this one as my second one because a lot of people saw Tennessee absolutely dominate from start to finish. Actually, not even start to finish because it was a tight race until NC State's quarterback threw that pick six, and then it got absolute domination by Tennessee. But we saw Tennessee absolutely dominate NC State for pretty much the whole entire game. And the biggest thing was that came away from that NC State game is that Clemson's elite now. Clemson's ready to win the SEC, win the playoffs, go for a national championship. That's all I seen on the Twitter machine. That's all I seen on social media is how great Tennessee was. Clemson, on the other hand, Clemson has been in the hot water with fans. Dabo does not want to use the transfer portal. You lose big to Georgia, which, to me, I said this last week. Oregon, a couple years ago, the 2022 season, Oregon lost 49-3, and then they won like every single game after that, and they pretty much blew teams out. And I think they only lost like one game after Georgia, but I think they went like 10-2 and something like that. So I don't think Clemson should be written off just because they lost to what was the number one team in the nation, Georgia Bulldogs, currently ranked number 2 in the AP poll, and they're a really good team. I don't think Clemson should be defined by that loss. I think they need to be defined by what talent they have. They have a head coach that has 2 national titles under his belt, and Clemson is doing what they're supposed to versus these cupcake teams. And then now they have to face NC State. They do got them at home. And the question is, what if Clemson wins big over NC State? So what is my question is the narrative going to change for Clemson? Are fans and college football fans going to start being a believer in Clemson and possibly making a playoff run?
Well, the thing is that you got to look at it like this. Clemson's already a 20-point favorite according to ESPN Bet. They also have an 88.4% chance to win the game. So they're a heavy favorite right now. But NC State at the same time, outside of losing big to Tennessee, like Louisiana Tech's no pushover team. I don't think personally. And just the other day, do the math. Yeah, Saturday. I almost said Friday. I didn't know if it was a Friday night or whatever. I had to check the date. But they won 30-20 over Louisiana Tech. That's not a bad team to beat. Clemson blew out App State 66-20. They still gave up 20 points, but App State's not too bad either. I think they had a lot of frustration from that Georgia loss. You get embarrassed, but you take it out on App State. Do they still have more built up? I don't know. But what if Clemson wins big against NC State? They almost have to. Almost have to, right? I mean, think about it. Not only do they have to now run the table after having lost that first game to Georgia in a blowout, they have to look good doing it. If Clemson wins big against NC State, that is the beginning. Most likely, don't quote me on it, don't hold me to it, but most likely the beginning of a great run for the Clemson Tigers in 2024.
For sure. So we got some people in the chat. So Jackson Johnson said if NC State beats Clemson, it'll not only be the third time in 4 years that they've defeated Clemson, but the first time since 2002 that NC State has beaten at Clemson on the road. I don't think
Wow.
I don't think NC State is going to win. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm gonna go ahead and make that prediction. Clemson is going to win big. Clemson has an elite defense. I know Tennessee fan wants you to believe that they have an elite defense, but Clemson has an elite defense. Okay, that has been proven. So NC State is going to lose. Clemson's going to win really big over them, and that's why I posed the question, what if they win big? Because I want to change the narrative around Clemson. Just a couple of weeks ago, whenever Clemson beat App State like 60-something to whatever it was, to 20 or something.
66-20. I remember
Yeah.
watching it actually a little bit. Because I
66
looked at the score and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, Clemson wins 66-20, but right before that game, Ballard, do you remember a lot of the predictions? There was a lot of predictions that a college football team was going to beat Clemson. Oh, that's right. That was App State. A lot of people were saying that App State is one of them type of teams that can upset teams, and that yes, App State is definitely going to upset Clemson. We heard about that all week long leading up to the game, and people were so convinced that they put their money where their mouth is, and they lost big time.
Yeah.
You want to go to your next take and final
Yep.
take, or what ifs?
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Final one of the night, and we'll try to get out of here for you guys. Great show so far. Be sure to hit that thumbs up. We love and appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. Let's keep it rolling here. Ballard take number 2, or what if, whatever. What if the USC Trojans defense isn't as good as advertised against LSU? And how does it change the Michigan matchup coming up this weekend? What do you think, Mayhem? We'll start with you.
Yeah, so the Trojans had a really good showing of against LSU on defense. The narrative has quickly changed. Southern Cal under Lincoln Riley, we know that in recent history has been terrible. But this year, whenever they faced LSU, it looked like Alex. It looked like Lincoln Riley finally found a defense, and they played really well against LSU, and it helped. It helped the Trojans beat LSU in a nail biter. By the way, that was a really good game. But LSU has struggled offensively against teams this year. They struggled against Nichols early in the game. They struggled against South Carolina early in that game. They've even struggled against the Southern Cal Trojans. So the question is, what if Trojans defense isn't as good as advertised versus LSU? Because LSU coming into the season, that was the very first game of the year for both teams coming in. We all thought that LSU was going to have this amazing offense and put up a bunch of points, and then Trojans, their defense, light up LSU's offense. But Nichols was able to stop LSU's offense for a half. South Carolina was able to get up 17-0 on LSU's offense. And so maybe LSU's offense isn't what it was hyped up to be against Southern Cal, but I will agree in the chat, I will agree that the Trojans defense has gotten a lot better than it was last year. But for some reason, it didn't. How does this change the Michigan matchup? And my thoughts are that Michigan's offense isn't very good. So I think that you'll see Michigan's offense perform a little bit better if the Trojans' defense isn't as good as it was versus LSU. You'll see Michigan's offense perform a lot better, and then you'll see Michigan win this game because Michigan's defense is also really good. And you're going to see a very low scoring game in this matchup. I think the Trojans defense needs to shine in this game. And the reason why I say that is because Michigan can score points on a defense if it's not that good. They can be able to score points. And Trojans offense can score points too, but we all know Michigan's defense is elite. Okay? I think this changes the game in a big way because if the Trojans defense is as good as advertised, then this is going to be a blowout. If it's not if it's not good as advertised, I think this is a very close matchup, and I think it's a very low scoring affair.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's going to rely heavily on USC's defense because we know about Michigan. They've always had good defenses. They have decent offense. It won't be what it was obviously last year that led them to a national title. Cheaters. Um, but it it is going to rely on the Trojan defense because it's Lincoln Riley, number one, and number two, because of what we've seen from Lincoln Riley. We haven't seen defense, but it looked so good against LSU in that game. and it made Brian Kelly so angry.
Yeah.
Oh, Kelly smash!
We have to win this game.
We gotta win.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what
No,
happened.
look. Bottom line for me on this one is, I think what I think is going to happen. I think it could be as good as it was advertised. Um, Now, do I think USC is going to win the game? That's another question for another day. This is a game I don't want to mess with because I think it could go either way. I would probably take USC, but I'm not placing money on it.
Yeah, for sure. And to wrap up the show, Ballard, I know we didn't have this plan, but I really want to do it.
Okay.
It's only going to take 10 or 15 minutes. I promise you,
No,
I won't hold you. Okay. I really
no,
do. Really
I'm
want.
just kidding. What's up? What's up?
I really do want to do the college football pick'em. I know we talked about it a little bit
Okay.
off air, but I know we didn't actually officially say that we were going to do it. But this has been a very great show. The chat has been very good to us today, and they came out to see a show. So I want to end it on a high note. I want to end it on a banger with these college
Yeah.
football pick'ems. I want to shout out everybody in the chat, every single person in the chat, because I really appreciate every single person coming out tonight and listening to us. Have great conversations. Let's start from the very beginning. Jackson Johnson, P Digits, TriStar, Max Todd, Zach, Sports Cards and Collectibles, Amata Melita. Sorry about if I mispronounced your name. God's Guns and Ammo. We got Nate DeGreat. We got Cody Hankin. We have Dominic Bolick, the godfather of the SEC. We have a lot of people in the chat, and I really appreciate everybody. Also, Adam Woodard. You know, I want to thank every single person for being interested in clicking on this stream and doing this with us, because without the help of y'all, you know, we don't have these great conversations and stuff like that. So, but anyways, let's get right on into the pick'ems, and you can go first.
All right, this first one is Virginia at Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina off to a good start. They had a really good season back in 2021 after COVID, but then they kind of fell off a little bit. Actually, maybe it was 22. I know they fell off last year. Uh, Virginia coming off a loss to Maryland. Coastal is undefeated. Is this their first test for the Chanticleers? Chanticleers? Is that how you say it? Anyway, is this their first test facing an ACC team? I'm gonna take Coastal here because I really do like their defense so far. They have given up 27, 21, 20, whatever. They struggled offensively against Temple. Outside of that, they've looked pretty good. I love their quarterback though, Ethan Vasco, who's got 3 touchdowns, 512 yards, and only 1 pick so far. I'm gonna go with Coastal in this matchup.
Sure. So I am going to go with Virginia in this matchup.
Okay.
If Jamie Chadwell was still the head coach of Coastal Carolina, I would be picking Coastal Carolina all day, every day. I know Coastal Carolina is off to a great start, 3-0. Virginia, 2-1. I'm gonna go with the Virginia Cavaliers here, and it's nothing against Coastal Carolina. I just don't know too much about them to be able to pick the upset. So I got to go with the safe pick. And I know Coastal Carolina is going to be the home team, but Virginia is a Power Four in the ACC. You know, we've talked about them before. Coastal Carolina under Jamie Chadwell, I'd probably pick them to win this game all day, every day, baby, because like Jamie Chadwell is a really good head coach, but
Yeah.
don't know too much about this team. I'm gonna be honest, so I'm gonna go with Virginia.
All right. Respect. Respect. USC and Michigan. This is the game of the week right here. Is this one you want to come back to, or you want to just go ahead and knock it out?
Yeah, let's save the best for last.
All right. Let's see. Is that the best for last? Yeah, I would say that's better than Tennessee, Oklahoma, in my opinion. Unless you, either way, we'll come back to this one. How about that?
For sure.
Rutgers and Virginia Tech. Rutgers is undefeated, but it is in Blacksburg. Enter Sandman. Excellent. All right. I really don't know. I don't know too much on this matchup here, but I do. I mean, Virginia Tech, they lost that Vanderbilt game, or did they
Yep.
win that one? I know
They,
both teams
they
are 2-1.
they lost.
Okay. Okay. Um, we're gonna start here. I gotta pull this up real quick
Well,
because
while he's pulling that up, I'm gonna go ahead and make my
I
pick.
got it.
Okay.
No, go ahead and make your pick. What you got, man?
So my pick is going to be Rutgers. Virginia
Okay.
Tech. Virginia Tech don't have a defense, and while they had a good showing offensively versus Vanderbilt, it is Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt don't have a defense. Rutgers, although it is Rutgers can put together something, and they can score points as well as Virginia Tech can. But I think the better defense is Rutgers, and the better offense is probably Rutgers. Just I feel like overall Rutgers is a better team than Virginia Tech right now. I'm going, and yeah, you gotta go on the road. Virginia Tech has the inner Sandman. They have the halftime hokey pokey. Put your right foot in, put your right foot out, and shout the hokey pokey and all that stuff. We know the traditions there at Virginia Tech, but I'm going with the Rutgers. I think they are playing better ball right now, and that's what I'm gonna go with.
I think they're playing better ball too. I still don't know who I would take though because I really like Kyron Jones. He's a great quarterback for Virginia Tech. I think he fits the mold, fits the system. They are favored by 3.5 in this game, but I could see Rutgers coming into this one. It's not like it's Inter Sandman at night, but like 2:30 in the afternoon. Rutgers undefeated, have some momentum. They they have a really solid defense when you look at Rutgers, and I think it could hold up here against the Hokies. I mean, I look at their defense and I'm just blown away. Eric Rogers with the pick. Daryl, how do you say it? Dijabome? I'm sorry. I try not to butcher names, man, but um, Shaquan Loyal, Aaron Lewis, Malcolm Ray. They got some guys up front. Moses Walker at linebacker. So they got some fast and physical guys that I think are going to push the lines of scrimmage for Virginia Tech. It'll be a difference maker.
For sure.
All right, Arizona State and Texas Tech. I think this could go either way, but Arizona State's on a roll right now, and I liked what I saw last week.
Yeah, I did too. I was actually very surprised by what I saw last week, and
Almost went live. By the way, I almost went live for that. I'm glad I didn't because I got really tired. But Arizona State, man, they just are on a whole nother level with really both sides of the ball. But at the same time, like you enter the Big 12 and everything, uh 31-28 against Texas State, and then you look at what they were able to do. Like their wide receiver Jordan Tyson, had 120 yards receiving. Here's the thing, man. It was kind of one of those back and forth shootouts, but having controlled the clock in time of possession kept them in this game. If they're not able to do that, Texas State probably runs away with it, in my opinion. But they were really explosive outside of like, it was all touchdowns until that Ian Hershey field goal at the end, but it was like their defense stood tall when it needed to at the end of the game. They got out with the victory. They just there's something special about this year's Sun Devils team, man. I like them, and I like Texas Tech too so far. But until I see them lose, I might take Arizona State in every game.
Yeah. Kenny Dillingham is the new head coach for Arizona State. We saw last year
Yeah,
their former head coach get fired pretty much on the field. And I'm going to go with Arizona State here. Texas Tech last year, I know it's not last year. I understand that, but last year everybody was saying Texas Tech was going to be like the Big 12 champs, and and what did they do? They massively underperformed. They started out 2-1 this year. They have to face Arizona State, a really good Arizona State. I know what people would say. Well, they haven't played anybody. They played Mississippi State, which I know is a terrible team, but they absolutely wiped the floor. I mean, it wasn't even
yeah,
competitive. I mean, I thought that game would at least be competitive. They wiped the floor with Mississippi State, okay? And we can have the argument like, is Mississippi State just that bad, or is Arizona State just that good? I mean, we would have to see more games being played, and this one would be a big game. And I am going to choose Arizona State because they have a lot of momentum going into this game. Texas Tech, I'm just not sold on Texas Tech after all the hype that we had last year, and then this year, you know, really haven't heard from them since then. I just can't pick the Texas Tech Raiders until I start see them winning bigger games.
I
So
got you there.
give me Arizona State.
All right. How about Utah and Oklahoma State? Very interesting game. Cam Rising is back from injury this year. He's doing pretty good so far. 7 touchdowns, no picks. I like Bowman for Oklahoma State. I can't pick against my guy, though, Ollie Gordon at running back, dude. He might be the best in the Big 12 at that position. I don't know if he's quite up there to be the best in the whole college football landscape. He's one of my favorite guys to watch, though. I can't pick against him. Give me Oklahoma State.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're going to have to disagree. Oklahoma State, you know, Oklahoma State almost lost to Arkansas, and Arkansas is just not a very good team. I saw that game, and I'm going to be honest with you. That game was the battle of the mids. Okay, that was like the battle of the mids. Who is more mid? What team is more mid? And when I say mid for all the older people that are watching, I mean like average team. It was the battle of the average team, right? And Oklahoma State pulled off a victory, and seemed like Arkansas wanted to lose that game, and Oklahoma State pulled off, you know, pulled off the close win. But I'm going to go Utah. Cameron Rising is him. He's been at Utah for about 40 years now. He knows the system, and he's going to get the job done versus Oklahoma State. And I'm a big believer in Kyle Whittingham. If I was to play for a team, I would want to play for a team kind of like Kyle Whittingham's team. Very tough. He's very tough. I know Mike Gundy has a reputation of being a great head coach as well, and I give him his flowers as well. But Kyle Whittingham I'm a big fan of Kyle Whittingham. I really am, and I
Me
would
too.
love. And there's a lot of rumors going around that this could possibly be his last year. They already have a new head coach in position to take over whenever Kyle Whittingham does step down and retires. And I really want Utah to win this year, the Big 12, and I do think they have the players to do it. They got the receivers, they got the elite quarterback, they've got a pretty good defense, and this is the Big 12. You don't really have to have a great defense or elite defense to win this thing. The Big 12 is known for just scoring points. So, and that's what Utah has in elite offense. So, give me Utah to win this game. I'm not a big believer in Oklahoma's defense to be able to stop Utah's offense.
I agree with everything you had to say about Utah. I just got to say one more thing about Oklahoma State. I freaking love Mike Gundy. He's a man. He's 57 now.
Yeah.
And he man, look, he's just a good guy. He really is. I can't pull against him, man. He's loved Oklahoma State. Been around there for a long, long time. Played quarterback in the late '80s, and he knows what it takes to win there. He's got a really good track record of a Big 12 championship, way above 500 overall coaching record, way above 500 and bowl games and everything. He's just a winner, and so is Utah and Cam Rising and everybody over there. But they just, I don't know, man.
I
It can
mean,
really go either way here.
so this, we were talking about the what ifs earlier.
Yeah,
What if we see this in just a few long weeks in the Big 12 title game?
that is very possible, and I hope we do because I love both of these teams this year. Now, do you think you got Utah winning this one? If they meet again, can Oklahoma State win the rematch? You think?
Well, that's a long far away, but I will say this, assume, there's going to be injuries and stuff like that along the way for both teams. And depending on what both teams are, how both teams are at that point of the season, the saying goes that it's always hard to beat a good team twice. So
Mm-hmm.
if Oklahoma State does win it, like you would say, then I would say, yeah, Utah's going to win the second round. If Utah wins this matchup, then I guess Oklahoma State can win. I'm just a big believer, man. I'm a big believer in Utah. I really want them to win so
I
bad.
don't blame you. Yeah,
I,
no,
I'm
I don't
cheer,
blame you, man.
I'm
Me
cheering
too.
for him, man. I mean, Mike Gundy, he's a great coach. He's been in the Big 12. He's been in big games like this. I'm sure it's going to be a great matchup, but I just really want to see Kyle Whittingham win, man. I want him to go out in the sunset. I want him, if this is going to be his last year, I want him to win the Big 12, be able to say that he won 2 Pac-12 championships and a Big 12 championships. I want him to be able to say that he made it to the playoffs. I want him to be able to submit his legacy as one of the best coaches, one of the best top 10 coaches of all time, in my opinion. And I know that's a big, bold take that I just said, but remember, Utah was a Group of 5 team. He carried Utah and to the Power 5. Now he's in a different conference. I want to see him win. He had a lot of marquee games under his belt, beating Alabama, and beating, having a lot of feats. And this one would be like the cherry on top to submit his legacy. And I'm really pulling for him. I'm serious.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's without even thinking, let's rapid fire through some of these. Like, don't even have to justify the picks here. TCU and SMU. Who do you got? You pick.
TCU,
TCU, no question.
no question.
All right.
Who do you got?
Cal, I would probably go TCU as well. I like what they're doing. I like Hoover at quarterback. I think he's done pretty good. Um, what about Cal and Florida State? Are we going over?
Yeah, I'm going over.
Me too. Me too. Um, Toledo and Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky only lost so far. Alabama week 1, but Toledo looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, I'm going Western Kentucky. That's my favorite Group of 5 team of all time.
I don't know who to pick in this matchup, but I'll lock that in for you. And then we'll come back to this one. Iowa, Minnesota. I got to go. The Iowa defense gets it done.
Yeah, I'm going Minnesota.
Okay, that's fair. And
Yep.
then we got to do the total number of points, but the big game, college game day is going to be there. SEC debut for the Sooners. Tennessee, been there, done that. Josh Heupel facing his alma mater. Who do we have, Mayhem? We talked about this game earlier. Who are you set on officially and final? I am leading. mm, Tennessee really close, man. Vols on top. Vols on top. I'm going with them.
Yeah,
Who you
Tennessee's going to
got?
win. Tennessee's going to win this game, and I got
Yeah,
I got the total points at 55.
55 total.
Yeah.
You got a what's the score?
Uh 34-20,
That'd be
or is that
54.
54? Yeah. Well, Mayhem don't do math, so we also got one more game.
Who do we not pick? Oh, USC Michigan. Who you got?
So, I have in this game, I don't think Southern Cal's defense is going. All right, I'm gonna say this. I think Michigan will have success running the ball on Southern Cal. I think Southern Cal will have a lot of success getting the ball downfield. This is going to be a very low scoring game. And with that being said, I'm going with Michigan's at home. They really need this win, but something tells me to go with the Trojans, man. I'm going with the Trojans in a very low scoring game. This could be like a baseball score. I mean, this is a really low scoring affair.
Which
We can
is very surprising considering history, like with these teams and offenses lately. That's very surprising that I agree fully with everything you're saying.
Yeah, for sure. And let's just wrap it up with some final thoughts in the chats. Jackson Johnson says, "I hope TCU SMU can stay beyond 2025." I would love for you to elaborate on that. Like, stay where, as far as what? Like, I think TCU, if you're talking about winning games and stuff like that, I think SMU is going to struggle this year in winning games. I seen them play a few weeks ago. They just didn't look too good. I think they played Nevada and they almost lost. They had to come back from like a couple of scores down and win that game. I seen them play, just didn't look too good to me. I think they're going to have a down year this year. And as far as TCU had one off year after going to the national championship. I think they're going to be much better than they were the previous year. He's a really good head coach. So with that being said, I do think if you're talking about wins, as far as wins, I do think that these two teams can stay beyond 2025. And
I might know what he's referring to because they play each other this weekend. He's probably saying it could remain like an annual matchup.
oh, okay, yeah, I would
Yeah,
love to.
that would be fun. That would
I
be
would
fun.
yeah, I would also love to see that as well. To
I mean, it is in state. I mean, SMU's Dallas and TCU is Fort Worth, right?
yeah,
I know they're in Texas, Texas Christian. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that would be a really fun matchup that we could see every single year. But maybe we'll see what happens. But anyways, I think we had a really good show.
Yeah, man.
Everybody that was in the chat, I already shouted out the chat. I'm gonna shout out the chat one more time. Everybody that came, I really appreciate it. We had tons of people in the chat, and I really appreciate it. Everybody that is a part of the Man Matthew channel and the Ballard Sports Media channel, everybody that's a part of these channels, I really appreciate y'all. Y'all know who y'all are, and I really appreciate everything that you do for us and that you do for me. and I really appreciate it. We're on the road to 500 subscribers, man. On my channel, Ballard, he's on the road to, 1,300, I believe it is.
Yep.
So, doing some great things on both of our channels. We had an amazing show, and hopefully we can come back next week and do a show just like this every single week. This was an awesome show. This was amazing and fantastic, as Pigskin Pete would say. Shout out Pigskin Pete. But man, I just had a great time. I felt
Yeah.
comfortable. I felt really comfortable tonight. The chat was flowing really good. Ballard, according to Adam, he looked really bored. So I mean, it was
No, it was starting to wear out a little bit, man. I've had a long day. I went to work. I don't know what you did.
yeah. I went to work, and you know I had a long day too, but this really got me pumped up and really got me excited. I really do have a passion for talking college football, and that's why I even got on here in the first place to talk some college football to some fellow friends here on YouTube because don't have too many people to talk college football at my house. So with that being said, I'm gonna end it off on a good note. Ballard, love seeing you tonight. Chat, love seeing you tonight. Go Dogs, man!
Roll Tide, baby. Let's go. Love all of you guys. Mayhem. Appreciate you, bro.